Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today we are taking a look at this. It is from Hasbro Toys. It's the new Marvel Avengers Mech Strike, and this features the Incredible Hulk in his incredible mech suit. Okay, so I'm pretty excited to check this out. If you've been to my channel before, you'll know that I'm a big fan of the Avengers Mech Strike. It's a budget toy line from Hasbro. Normally the figures retail for about, I believe, $9.99 for the single figures, and I believe the actual mech suit toys like this one, normally I think the price ranges on that might be $19.99 for like the 2 packs, for like the Iron Man mech suit, the Cap mech suit, and the Black Panther mech suit. And then the larger ones, such as this Hulk, I believe retail for maybe $32. So the Hulk costume here is one that I've been wanting since the beginning. So I believe the first Mech Strike figure I got might have been the Iron Man and the Iron Man mech suit. And then that was followed by the Cap one. And then eventually Thanos a few months later. And then more recently Black Panther. And in the beginning, I said one of the mech suits I really wanted to see was the Incredible Hulk, which we got here. I thought there was a great opportunity to create, something really special. And truth be told, when I saw this in the store, I was kind of a little bit lukewarm to it. For some reason, I'm not sure if it necessarily met my expectation of what I was expecting out of a Hulk mech suit. I've seen images in the comic books. I've seen the Funko Pop version of the Avengers Mech Strike Hulk mech suit. And in my head, I had an idea of what I wanted the actual Hasbro toy to look like. And when I first saw this in the stores, maybe like last week, I actually passed on it. I didn't buy it right away. I saw it, and for some reason, it just didn't speak to me. There's something about it where it just seemed a little bit off. And then I mulled it over for a few days, and I'm like, it's something I kind of really wanted, and I should just give it a chance and see, how it fares. So here we are. We have the Avengers Mech Strike Hulk in the mech suit. So as I mentioned earlier, I believe the first figures that had mech suits were Iron Man, Captain America, Thanos, and then more recently Black Panther and Hulk. So I'm not sure if the Black Panther and the Hulk are the final figures in this assortment. If this Avengers Mech Strike toy line is coming to an end, as much as I'd enjoy seeing it continue, I haven't received any news or any information on whether or not this is going to continue for another wave or two. So for all I know, this might be the final bookend piece. But either way, if this is the last figure in the line, I think it's a great way to send it off. So let's take a look at the package here. First off, the box, it's a lot larger. This is about the same size, I believe, as the Thanos box. And the price point is definitely a lot more than the Captain America and the Iron Man and the Black Panther. Whereas those were retailed for about maybe like $19. This one's a little bit pricier at $32. And I think that's one of the reasons why I kind of held off on buying it. Like for me, I bought Thanos. I couldn't find Thanos in the stores when it was first released. Eventually, he became more common. But the first few weeks he was out, he was hard to find, and I did buy him online through a third-party seller, and I paid a slight markup on it. It wasn't that bad. And when I received that figure, it wasn't disappointed at all. It really lived up to my expectations. There's something about this Hulk figure though. It's like I said. I mean, I haven't actually handled it yet, but just looking at it, there's something about it where it feels like to me they could have done a little bit more with it. Even though it's an enormous figure and this box is really gigantic, there's just something about it that I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. It seems like it's missing something. But beyond that, the box art looks great. I love this illustration here of the Mech Suit Hulk, and I think that's one of the reasons why I might be disappointed, because even though this toy is representative of this, I think in the way this illustration is executed, it comes off a lot better and a lot more of a behemoth than this guy. Like, don't get me wrong, this is gigantic, but there's something really off about this figure. I don't know what it is, but we'll look at it in a minute. So this is an open air package. There's no window. Normally toys like these are really meant for kids, so this is not a premium collectible. This is recommended for children ages 4 and up. So if you're an older collector, this isn't for you. You know, don't expect this to be like some sort of like next level toy. You know, this is very basic. In some regards, this Mech Suit could even be like compared to something like you'd see like with a play school toy. The figures, on the other hand, for the Mech Strike line, they're surprisingly, in my opinion, pretty decent. They have a incredible amount of articulation for being a budget figure. On some of the figures, the sculpting's really well done. The paint application is a little bit minimal, but I think the figures overall are pretty decent. Again, I can't stop looking at this illustration. I think it's wonderful. It reminds me so much of the old Transformer comics produced by Dreamwave Studios back in the early 2000s. I love that style of anime mech style drawing, and this looks beautiful. For some reason, I kind of wish this would translate into this. There's just something off about this. Like, it doesn't really mimic this as well as it should. But you never know. Once I handle the actual toy, I might be, you know, I might change my tune and eat my words on that. So over here we have some nice fig photography of the figure. It's the Hulk, incredible mech suit. Giant-sized Hulk is unbeatable in his powerful mech armor. And here's the play feature. He simply just opens up and you can store the figure inside. And here's kind of like a blueprint of the mech suit. And this gives you an idea of how the figure fits in there. Like I said, I do have some reservations about this toy. It seems it's like kind of ironic because this was a figure I really wanted in the Mech Strike line. You know, I really wanted a Hulk mech suit, and now that we've gotten it, I'm just kind of like lukewarm to it. It seems like it's missing something. But you know, if in a minute or two, once I get this open, I might change my tune completely and fall in love with it. You know, who knows? Alright, so first impressions of the mech suit while it's still in the tray. It's big, I'll give it that. It's a really big toy. I kind of take it back. It's very behemoth-like now that I'm seeing the feet and the overall proportions clearly. It's gigantic. I want to say it's probably about the same size as the Thanos one. Alright, so I believe this Hulk figure is a repaint, which is somewhat disappointing. For like the Iron Man mech suit and the Iron Man that came with that, I believe that Iron Man was a unique sculpt, and it was different than a solo release figure. Likewise, I think the Captain America, that figure that came with its mech suit was a different sculpt than the solo figure. The Black Panther, on the other hand, I want to say it might have been just a simple repaint. And this, I believe, is a repaint of the solo figure. So if you have the solo figure already, you're not missing out on much. The only thing different here is his pants are colored gray and purple. It's more along the lines of Hulk's uniform as seen in Avengers Endgame. Alright, so let's take this stuff out. Alright, so here's the Hulk. And to be honest, I do like this version of the Hulk better than the purple pantsed one. I don't know, I think this shade of gray just works really well. The purple on the solo release figure, I don't know, it was a little bit too loud for me, especially since it was complete pants. It's not more so the Hulk when his pants are torn and it's like cut halfway. You know, since these are long-legged pants, having it green as opposed to purple I think is a little bit more subtle, and having the purple stripe on the sides, it's a nice touch. I kind of wish they'd at least give you a different head sculpt. I'm not too fond of this version of the Hulk's head. It looks kind of weird. And it's a decent figure. The articulation is all right, especially for a budget figure. And we're gonna set this guy aside for now. We're gonna take out the mech suit. Alright, so here we have the Avengers Mech Hulk suit, or Hulk Mech Suit. And I'm already scratching my head with this a little bit. Let's get this guy out right here. Okay, so first off, he's a deeper green than what we're seeing on the camera. Look on the camera right now. He's coming off a little bit lighter than as if you saw him in real life. If you actually held him in person, the green's actually a lot deeper in color. It's a little bit more rich. And one thing I'm noticing as I'm looking through the camera is that you'll notice the Hulk here, his flesh tones aren't matching. Like the flesh tone on his torso and his arms are actually different, and including the head. So the flesh tone on his head and arms seem to match, and same with his feet. But as you can see here, his torso is a slightly gray, and it doesn't really match the flesh tone here that much. If you were to handle it in person, it's not that evident, but for some reason on the camera, it's really picking it up. So this guy here, he's giant. Yeah, there's something about this. There's something about this guy in particular. I don't know what it is, but it's alright. For one, I think it's great that we finally got a mech suit for this Avengers Mech Strike line. You know, as I stated since the first video, I think I said that I'd really like to see a Hulk figure, and we finally got one. So I am grateful for that, but I kind of feel like it was a missed opportunity in some cases because as big and as bulky as he is, it feels like he's just missing something. But let's just examine him up close. So for one, the sculpting on his head and face, it's nice. It's a little bit soft. It seems like it could have benefited from like deeper cuts and scribe lines along the face to really define it. One thing that's really bothering me is the paint application on the hair. So on the box, they cover alright, so it looks weird because it almost looks like a head wrap or some sort of headgear covering his head. It doesn't really look like hair. Alright, I know this is supposed to be a robot or a mech suit, so this isn't really supposed to be hair to begin with, but in terms of the color distribution and the color scheme, it's supposed to kind of mimic the hairline. But one thing I've noticed in some of the other versions of this character that I've seen, for example, in the Marvel Comics and also the Funko Pop, they actually stop the black right where it hits the ear. For some reason on this toy, they felt it necessary to color the ear and below it. So it just looks kind of off. I think it would look a little bit better if they stopped the black either right here at the top, or if they did go down, just stop right before it meets the ear and leave the earpiece green. Because it looks bizarre. It almost looks like he's wearing headphones or something. The sculpting and parts of it, like as I said, it's a little bit soft, like right here. The scribe lines, they don't feel or seem as deep or as crisp as we've gotten on some of the other ones, like for example the Captain America and Iron Man. I might just be a little bit nitpicky there, but I felt the details on those felt a little bit crisper. The lines were a little bit harder. Same with the edges. It's also throwing me off that his mid-torso here is colored like black. So it almost looks like he doesn't seem as much like the Hulk. He almost looks more like a Skrull. He looks more like Super Skrull than the Hulk, especially with his head being colored like with this black top over here. and with this black mid torso. It almost looks like a uniform, and he looks more like this almost looks more like a Skrull mech suit. I think that's what's really throwing me off about this, because the Skrulls also kind of share a similar color scheme, with the black and the gray and the purple, and especially the green. All right, so looking beyond that, as I mentioned, he's a big figure. I do like the shade of gray gray they're using on the feet. It's almost kind of like a gunmetal gray, and then the legs here, it's a nice, almost like a metallic or candy purple, it stands out. It's really beautiful. All right, so since this is a budget toy, one thing that bothers me is that you look at him at the front, he looks really decent. You look at him from the side, and this is where the budget starts playing in. The paint only covers the front, and then once you look at the back, it's completely bare. For me, this is almost inexcusable just because you're paying a lot more for this figure than the other ones. This guy is upwards to like $32, and I think on some of the cheaper figures, not that they added more color on their backs, but I just feel like, at the very least, they could have at least colored the back of his legs just so it matched the front. And one thing that bothers me also is that, paying $32 for this, he doesn't really have a cool play feature like the Thanos one does. Like, Thanos had those two daggers that you could mount onto the one forearm, and it was almost like a propeller, and you could remove them, and you could actually hold them in one hand. This guy, it seems like the only play feature we're getting is possibly, it looks like his wrist here is articulated, so that's pretty much it. So he could actually just twist his wrist, and he could shoot his cannons. And on this hand, the wrist, it swivels, but it's hindered because the blaster on this forearm prevents it from turning. So for me, that's kind of a problem also. I'm kind of thinking, why couldn't they just gave us the same thing they did here? Cut the gauntlet at the blaster, allowing you full range of motion. Whereas on this one, why did they leave the blaster attached to the gauntlet here? And even though this is articulated, it doesn't allow you to spin it just because it's hitting that top part. So that I'm kind of scratching my head on that. At that point, they should have just given us, a completely symmetrical figure. Just give us the same exact forearm here as here, and just allow both of them to rotate. So I don't know. I kind of feel that's just a little bit poor planning on their part. Articulation-wise, it's the same as you'll see with the other Mech Strike figures. His arms rotate. They go out, not too high up. Again, a little bit disappointing because I think there was more range of motion like in Thanos. I think this one's range of motion is kind of limited, so it's not really doing that much. His elbows bend, and that's pretty much it. As I've stated before, I believe this is an exact the same figure as we got with the first release, the solo release. The only thing difference is the paint job. His head's articulated, can look left and right. Look up and down just a little bit, not too much. The arms are articulated well. And even though there's no bicep cut, there's an elbow swivel, single bend. It's okay. I like the fact that they give us two different hands. They gave us the fist, and then they gave us the splayed out hands. I would have appreciated that on this figure. If this figure, if you're going to keep the fist here and if this wrist can rotate, I'm happy with that. But if this one isn't going to move at all, even though it's articulated for it, at least give us the splayed out hand. I think I would have appreciated a splayed out hand for this one. Leg articulation, this guy kicks. Knee bend, knee swivel, and that's essentially it. So yeah, I'm liking this color scheme more than the solo release. The gray pants with the purple stripe, for me it feels a little bit more natural. Having it all purple just seemed kind of off since it was a long-legged figure. And just like the other Mech Strike figures, this opens up. There's some detail scribed on the inside, which is nice. And like the other figures, there's a socket and a peg, and you just kind of spread their arms out a little. Plug it in. And then this closes down. And then we have Hulk in his mech strike suit. It's alright, so just to be fair, I know I sound like I'm being really critical on this figure. I think my expectations were just a little bit too high. But it is decent. The price point, though, is what bothers me a little, because I do think you got a better value with the Thanos figure than this one. Even with the other figures, I kind of feel like they had more playability than this. And we could do a comparison with those right now. So we'll set the Hulk on the side right here, and we'll compare him to the other individual mech strikes that we've gotten so far. So over here, first off, we have the Iron Man mech suit. This one surprised me. I think this is the first one I got, and I liked it a lot. I do have some issues with this design, just a little bit, but I thought it was a great figure overall. I love the asymmetry with the hands. Like here, they give you an example of what I was looking for. Like I love that they give one hand splayed out and the other one's a fist. This guy has like an energy blade on one side, and it's nice. The figure inside is beautiful. It's a really well done version of Iron Man. It's different than the solo release, so I can appreciate that. What I would have liked to have seen for the Hulk one is, I think it would have been cooler that instead of giving us the Hulk, I think a really big selling point, is that if they gave us a Bruce Banner figure. I think that would have been awesome. Because for me, it feels almost kind of redundant. It seems like the Hulk doesn't need a mech suit because he's so powerful as it is. But I think it would have been awesome if they gave us a Bruce Banner figure that could like actually sit inside of this and power, and command this mech suit. That would have been awesome. And it's more incentive for collectors to want to buy this, because we don't have too many Bruce Banner figures to begin with. So it would have been awesome if they gave us a Bruce Banner figure. Or, they could have gone the opposite route, and instead of giving us the green Hulk, maybe give us the gray one. Just a thought. But yeah, it's somewhat disappointing that we're getting almost the exact same figure as the one we got before. The only thing different is it's a repaint. But to be fair, I do like this repaint more than the original release. And over here we have the Captain America. I believe this might be my favorite out of all the figures we've gotten in the Mech Strike line, just because I think they hit a home run with the design. I love the design of this. The colors, I could kind of do with a little bit deeper colors or a little bit more metallic colors. The color of this plastic, this blue and this red, it seems very more like childlike and like something you'd see for like a play school toy. But I do like the sculpting on this. I love the hard edges. I love the fact that you can store Cap's shield onto his shoulder. It would have been nice if they gave like the Hulk some sort of accessory or something. Yeah, overall this one was nice. I like the fact that they broke up all the blue on the back with giving us this additional armor piece, which in all honesty serves no real purpose. It's almost like they could have sold you this figure without this. It's not like this serves as any function. This is not like an additional accessory or weapon. It doesn't plug into anything else except for the back of Cap's back. So it kind of left me scratching my head like I don't know why they made this. But I do appreciate that it breaks up all the color in the back and it looks nice. This gives it a little bit more definition and contrast. He's not entirely all blue. And when you look at him from the front, this kind of gives him thicker shoulders. This figure really surprised me. So if to be honest, it's probably a toss-up between this and Captain America in terms of which is my favorite mech suit. This one, I think they pulled this one off flawlessly. I love the fact that when I look at this, it feels like Black Panther. I love the fact that his hands, he kind of has like his claws out. So that's awesome. The color scheme, it's subtle. It works well. He's all black with some silver and purple trim. I love that the head almost kind of looks like Optimus Prime. This is a really nice figure. I like this one a lot. I think the only downside is that this might be the same figure that we got before, but the color scheme's a lot better. This looks more like Black Panther than the first release. And lastly, we have the big boy himself. We have Thanos. So Thanos and the Hulk, they're, as you can see here, they're roughly about the same size. I do feel that you get a better value with Thanos. Like I said before, it's cool that he has this play feature here. He has this, like these two blades or daggers, and you can actually remove them too, if I could do that. It's kind of a tight fit. Alright, they don't want to come out right now, but yeah, so you can remove the dagger here, and then one of the fists right here has a hole in it, and I believe you can slot that in, or maybe not. Okay, I take it back, you can't. For some reason I thought you could. There is no slot there. Alright, take that back. My mistake. Oh, Thanos' hand here could actually wield the blade. Even though it's kind of a loose fit, he does hold onto it. So it's cool that they gave us that. But yeah, it's cool that he has this like propeller blade. It's really wicked. And I just kind of felt like you got more for your money out of this. Even the Thanos figure, this is what surprises me, is that this is a giant figure. I said it before, this Thanos Mech Suit toy was worth it just for this Thanos figure alone. It's gigantic. You know, we compare him next to the Hulk. You know, look at the size difference. So this Mech Suit right here, you know, it was worth the purchase just to get this giant ass Thanos figure. This thing is huge. It's really detailed. And I think that's where the Hulk one feels a little bit disappointing. I kind of felt like it was a missed opportunity. You know, they could have given us a second Hulk figure that was a little bit larger, you know, more so in scale with this. You know, they could have possibly given us a Dr. Bruce Banner figure, which I would have liked. And, you know, Thanos here has these additional accessories. You know, this guy, he's this bare bones. You know, granted, the Hulk isn't known for, like, wielding weapons or anything like that, but, you know, when his only play feature is being able to rotate one wrist, it's kind of disappointing. So, yeah, I mean, it's a decent figure. And for me, I just felt like I needed it just to complete the collection, and I felt like I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't get it, just because I kept on saying how much I wanted a Mech Strike Hulk. But I think in the end, it was this, you know, the fault's on me for having my expectations so high, especially considering this is a budget toy line. You know, I kind of expect a little bit more, but I think for what you're getting, you know, from this toy line overall, it's very reasonable. Although I do think this figure is a little bit pricey at $32. It's a great figure, but like I said, you know, some of the articulation leaves a lot to be desired. Like, for example, on the shoulders here, you know, it's very limited. It doesn't really go out that far. Whereas on like Thanos here, you know, lots of motion. You know, this one, it doesn't do as much. So, yeah, very conflicted. All right, so if I had to rate this toy numerically on a scale of 1 to 10, to be fair, the lowest I'd give it would be a 6. The highest, a low 7. You know, this is a figure we've already gotten. And although I do appreciate this repaint, you know, I think it's a lot cooler in the gray. It's still the same figure, so you're not really missing out on much. And with the solo release, you know, at least you got the Nano Gauntlet. This guy, it's all right. You know, like I said, I have some issues with it. I don't understand why they couldn't make both wrists rotate the full way. You know, this one's pointless. I don't understand why they gave it articulation if it's not going to even move. So at that point, they should have just gave it 2 arms two forearms that were symmetrical, so it'd allow for this one to rotate. The paint application on the back, it sucks. You know, to be honest. You know, you look at Thanos. Of course, Thanos isn't painted on the back either, but at least the back of his arms are. But this, it's like, you know, there's so much great detail going on here, and the sculpting's really well done, but it's, you know, why couldn't they at least carry over the purple, at the very least, onto here? What they should have done is they should have lost all this black on the torso here, left it green, and then paint, you know, take the paint and just paint the pants here purple. That would have looked a lot better. It bothers me that they colored his feet also this gunmetal gray, even though it's a nice shade, this plastic. You know, the Hulk doesn't necessarily wear like footwear unless you count like the old Pantheon Hulk. So they could have just left his feet green. That's what I feel. And it'd feel more Hulk-like. Like I said before, when I look at this, he looks more like the Super Skrull than the Hulk, especially with this hairline that kind of comes down like in a V. So yeah, it's a nice figure. We'll leave it at that. It's nice. It's not stupendous. It's not the best figure in the line. You know, it's like I said, if I had to rate them, easily Captain America or Black Panther are my favorite, followed by Thanos, and then Iron Man, and then the Hulk. If you're this far into the series already, and if you have all the previous figures, in some ways I feel like you do yourself a disservice if you didn't complete the set by getting Hulk. But at the same time, it's like, you know, he's a little bit pricey, and you're not treading any new ground in terms of the solo figure. So, all right, I feel this video was a little bit long-winded, and I apologize for that. And I don't want to come off seeming like a hater. I just think, like I said earlier, I think I set my expectations a little bit too high. You know, therefore the joke's on me, because in all honesty, this is a budget toy. It's aimed for little kids. But, you know, for me, I just think they set the bar really high when they gave us figures like this and this. And then, you know, the solo Thanos that came with the Mech Suit. Like, this was an incredible action figure on its own. So for me, it's kind of like they kept on, like, every time a new figure would come out, it's like it'd get better and better and better. But then once this Hulk one came out, it kind of like this plateaued, and it's like very level. It's very even. It's not any better or any worse than the ones that came before it. I think that's, for me, the disappointing part in it. But overall, I do think that if you're this deep into the line, you just need to get it. You know, just bite the bullet, get it, and call it a day, because this might be the end of the series. All right, with that being said, I hope you found something insightful and useful in this video. Like I said, I didn't want to come off sounding negative or too critical of the toy. I just think my expectations were unrealistic to begin with. But I do think it's decent. So if you see this in your store, I bought this at Walmart. Check it out. Give it a look-see. If it's for you, you know, more power to you. You know, get it, and you know, you might enjoy it more than I did. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, and most importantly, be happy. Or I'll talk to you later.